Hi guys, Olive here today to share with you what some of my favorite things have been this summer. I did a video like this back in the spring and it got a really good response. Some of you requested that I do another one like this, so here we are. So diving right into it, let's talk about one of the best movies I have seen so far this summer. Before I say what that is though, I will say that I have decided to pretty much abandon the list that I was making for myself over on Twitter. If you didn't know, I was making myself a list of 10 to 12 movies per season that I was going to attempt to watch because I have a history of being really bad about just sitting down and watching a movie. I was using those lists to motivate myself. But I have been taking some much needed distance from Twitter, which has greatly improved my mood. So obviously I'm not going there to check in on my list. But also I have started curating a list for myself on justwatch.com of all the movies I want to watch, not just per season, but all of the movies out there that I want to watch. You have the ability to make a watch list on this website that will also tell you where pretty much any movie out there, period, is streaming right now. I absolutely love justwatch.com. I have been using it all the time. It's really helpful for me to just keep track of all the different movies I want to watch. I feel like that might be part of the reason I've shied away from watching movies is that I've never had a Goodreads equivalent, but Just Watch is that equivalent for me, where I can go in and see all the different movies I'm interested in watching, and I can also filter by streaming service and see what's available where, because that definitely does change. So I pretty much took all the movies on my spring list, all the ones that were going to be on my summer list and my fall list, and put them on the watch list. But one movie that was on that spring list that I went ahead and watched was The Namesake, which is a movie adaptation of the book by the same name by Jhumpa Lahiri. I absolutely adored that book. It was one of my favorite books the year that I read it. And this movie is pretty much a perfect adaptation of it, I would say. It's extremely faithful to the book. And the parts that they don't include, I feel like they are sort of able to include emotion-wise through the cinematography, particularly the sections in the airport. I thought it was so well done. Yeah, this movie was amazing. I highly recommend it, and the book if you haven't read it. In terms of what other entertainment I've been loving this summer, I have been watching this web series on Topics channel called Birds of North America. It's hosted by Jason Ward, who's a birder. I have been a longtime follower of his on Twitter, but somehow I never knew that he had his own web series. The episodes are really short. They're only 5 to 8 minutes long, and of course they're mainly talking about birds and birding. You see Jason out and about with his binoculars birding, talking to other birders. But then there are different types of episodes. There's one where he goes to the Museum of Natural History to look at all the bird specimens that they have. But there's also an episode where he sits down with his brother, who is also a birder, and they talk about how, as Black men, they don't always feel comfortable in the birding community. It is a very white hobby. And Jason talks about how he will walk in a room and feel like he doesn't belong. He's felt like he gets stares from people, like, what is he doing here? And there's also one situation he talks about where he hosts a bird walk, which is a very typical thing, but when everyone started showing up, even though he's holding binoculars and looks the part, people just walked right past him. I've been loving this series. Not only do I love hearing about birds, but also I think it's so great that Jason Ward has this platform, not just because he is a Black man in a traditionally white hobby, but also because he's just highly entertaining and passionate about birding. It just radiates off the screen how much he loves it. If you love birds, or even if you're just vaguely interested in learning a little bit more about birds or what the hobby of birding is all about, to go out with people birding and get a feeling of what that would be like, I urge you to give it a watch. The episodes are really short, like I said, so it's easy to binge through them if you desire to do so, or to just watch a few and get a sampling of what it's like. And then one other thing that I watched that I definitely wanted to bring up in this video was an author talk between Helen McDonald, author of H is for Hawk, and Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of Breeding Sweetgrass. They had a talk together that was hosted by the Heartland Fall Forum an evening a few weeks ago, and I was beyond blown away by it. They spoke about how in this time of social distancing, more and more people are looking to connect with nature, maybe for the first time, maybe to a greater degree than they did before the pandemic started. But Robin in particular was speaking about how important it is to facilitate relationships between people and nature, to have it not just be a fleeting thing, but to actually have a relationship with the natural world around you. And she said this is best started in childhood, because then for the rest of that child's life, if they have this established relationship with nature, it will influence the decisions that they make as they grow into adulthood. They will think twice about what they consume or what they do because they have this existing relationship. There was one specific thing that she said that really stuck in my mind. She was talking about after that bond is established between a person and the natural worlds, you can then ask yourself the question of, what am I going to do? What choices am I going to make to be able to walk alongside nature? It's going to be really hard for me to explain just how powerful the talk between these two authors was. Everyone in the chat basically just kept saying, this conversation is a gift. That is the best way to sum it up. It just felt like a gift. It was especially wonderful, especially needed, especially relaxing for me in particular after the day I had had earlier that day. I had just experienced a very long, very traumatic drive during which I somehow ended up outside the parking lot of the Pentagon. Don't ask. Basically, the chat between these authors was spiritually nourishing, and if you would like to see it, they actually did record it and put it up on YouTube, so I will throw the link up in the cards and down in the description box below for you. Moving on to non-entertainment things, I have a new favorite lip color, which is actually the one I'm wearing right now. It is this little Cake Pop Lippy by Beauty Bakery in the shade Bastani Ice. This is such a first world problem, but I have had the hardest time trying to find the right nude shade of lipstick for my skin tone. I'm very cool complected, and all the ones I've tried before must have been for warm toned people because they've looked all wrong on me. But the reason why I chose this one, the reason why I thought this one might work, is because the description said that it is a peach based color, and peach tones work really well with my skin tone. I do really love wearing bright lipsticks, which you will definitely know if you watch this channel regularly, but I like having more subtle shades like this, whether it be for when I'm in a professional setting or when I'm wearing a bright shirt like I am today or have a lot of eye makeup on. It's really easy to overwhelm the eye if you have too many colors going on at one time. So it's nice to have a simple shade like this that I can just throw on. It is a velvet lipstick, so it's not one of the matte liquid lipsticks that last all day, but this is really comfortable to wear. It is a lot more comfortable than the liquid lipsticks I typically wear. Also, I actually really like that it is so little like this. It's such a small little thing. It fits really well into the little purse that I carry around with me. And also, because I wear so many different shades of lipstick, I have a lot of different lipsticks, I can't remember the last time I've actually finished a tube of lipstick, whereas this one, because I like it so much and because there's only that much, I feel like I have a fighting chance of actually using through this. The packaging of this is actually cardboard. It has a nice velvet sheen to it, which is nice that it's not plastic. I get really tired of everything being plastic all the time, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this at least feels like it's more eco-friendly considering this is cardboard. The company that makes this, Beauty Bakery, is also really great as well. It is a Black-owned indie brand, and I have been trying to transfer my dollars over to independent businesses and Black-owned businesses wherever possible lately. Definitely a company and a lipstick that I would recommend. Now, beverage-wise, there have been two different drinks I have been loving this summer. The first one is one of LaCroix's new flavors. Now, admittedly, I don't drink a ton of LaCroix, but I was really tempted to try this new flavor after hearing Evelyn from the Internets speak about it. I have been following her for years. I think she is so hilarious and so fantastic. I love all of her videos, but I particularly love her hashtag Smack Yo Lip videos where she'll try different foods and different beverages and give her thoughts on them. And she is so funny when she does so. The way that she describes the flavors of whatever it is she's tasting is so evocative. It is basically impossible to not taste what she's tasting because she's doing such a perfect job of describing it. You have to go and watch some of her videos to see what I mean by that. You're in for a good time, trust me. She's done videos in the past sampling all of LaCroix's flavors, but in this most recent video that she did, she's trying the 3 new flavors that they just put out. The first 2 were duds, but the third one is a limoncello flavor. And the way she described it in the video was, if there was such a thing as vanilla Sprite, this would be it. And that was enough for me. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on my channel, because why would I have mentioned this on my channel? But I love lemons, okay? My favorite alcoholic beverage is a lemon drop martini. My favorite type of bread or muffin is lemon poppy seed. My favorite soup is lemon chicken orzo soup. I make a lemon and pea risotto. I always have lemons in my fridge. You get it. I love lemons. When Evelyn started talking about this, I pretty much knew I would love it because it sounded delicious the way she was describing it, but also I knew I loved lemons. So she gave it a 6 out of 10. She really liked it. I would give it a 9 out of 10 because of the love for lemons. Vanilla Sprite is the perfect way to describe this. It just doesn't have any sugar in it, so all the better. I have only had this by itself. I've never tried mixing it with anything, but I definitely have plans to do so. This is delicious and I'm obsessed with it. So I've obviously really been enjoying those, but I've also been making a ton of iced tea lately. We've had some really hot weeks here in Pittsburgh and nothing quite beats the heat like a big, tall glass of iced tea. I've been making primarily green iced tea, and this is the blend that I've been using the most to make it. It's called Tea on the Beach. This is a green tea, lemongrass, and dried cherry blend primarily. There are a few other things in here as well. It's sold by a small tea shop here in Pittsburgh called Blue Monkey. I actually just had to reorder some of this because I had used it all up. This is a loose leaf tea, so if you're going to make an individual cup, you can use an infuser. You can buy those little empty tea bags if you want to put some of this tea into it to make iced tea like I do. Or you can make it using my method where I just put the leaves in with the water. I let it steep for 3 minutes and then I strain out all of the leaves and then I compost them. I add some honey while it's still hot. I let it cool down and then I serve it over ice and it is just fantastic. Blue Monkey does online orders, so I will leave a link to their website down below. They have so many good teas. I've also been making iced tea out of their Niagara peach flavor. Delicious. But since I mentioned my composter, I should also mention my garden. Not that one. I have 2 garden boxes outside right now. This is my 2nd year of having a garden, so I still barely know what I'm doing, but I'm making my way through it. Right now I have parsley, rosemary from last year, it survived, and the parsley reseeded itself from last year. I have some lavender growing. I have 2 different varieties of basil, and I also have a giant tomatillo plant. I'm going to be trying to improve the soil quality in those existing boxes over the next couple of years because there's a lot of clay in it right now. It's not great for the plants in there, especially if I want to grow any root vegetables. It's kind of out of the question right now. I'm hoping that my composting efforts will help with that. But even in its current state, I love my little garden. It is so relaxing tending to it. It's so exciting seeing everything grow. Pretty much everything out there right now I grew from seeds, which is just incredible to watch that process. I've been using things from my garden as well, which is so exciting. I used the rosemary to make rosemary roasted red potatoes. I also made a rosemary simple syrup to put in this gin cocktail I made. That was amazing. I've been using the parsley in zucchini fritters and in this homemade tomatillo pizza sauce that I make that is absolutely delicious. I use the basil for lots of homemade pesto and also in this black bean quinoa salad that I make. I use what I grow, that is for sure. And then finally, I have an amazing new addition here in my reading room. Before I tell you what it is, I'll give you a little bit of setup. I have been wanting another pet for such a long time. If you didn't know, we have 1 cat. Her name is Theodora. We call her Thea or sometimes Bunny. She's a tortoiseshell, and because she is a tortoiseshell, she is a complete diva. We love her. She's very sweet, but she is a diva. And there is absolutely no way, and trust me, I've tried thinking of any way possible for me to have another pet, and it's just not gonna work. I'm not in love with that fact, but I've resigned myself to it. I'm making peace with it because we vowed to give this cat a good life when we adopted her. She was a rescue. She had a little bit of a rocky start to her life, but we want to give her the best life possible, and that's just not possible with another animal in this house. So instead, I decided to invest in a fake jellyfish tank. When it's on, as you can see, they swim around in a really realistic way and the color of the lights change. It is so relaxing. I put it on when I'm in here reading, and sometimes my husband will wander in and just stare at them for a few minutes because it's just so darn cool. I've named them Aggie and Ollie. Aggie is the red one and Ollie is the yellow one. They're not named after anything. Those are just the names that came to mind, but I love them very much. This is the next best thing to having a real pet, and the tank is a great addition to my reading room. So those were some of my favorite things of the summer of 2020. It has definitely been a hot one, and we are still trying to take precautions and stay away from other people while this pandemic is going on. So we've still been spending a lot of time at home, and therefore I have really appreciated all of these things, keeping me entertained, keeping me refreshed, and in good spirits. Links to everything I've mentioned in this video, as well as all of my social media links, will be in the description box below. And if you have any comments or questions about anything you've seen in this video or about anything in general, please feel free to leave it down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.